Maurice will be talking primarily first.
All right, good morning. Welcome. I want to welcome everyone. My name is Maurice Dunn. I am the co-founder at Bunifu. I'll give you a little bit more of an introduction later, but I wanted to welcome everybody to AI for All, Empowering Diverse Communities. Today, Bunifu and Sandai Cares has partnered to bring cutting-edge IA solutions or AI solutions to underserved populations. This webinar is going to explore our collaborative effort, what we're doing together to provide specialized data analytics and generative AI training programs for high school students, pre-release and post-incarcerated citizens and veterans. Join us to learn how we are going to bridge this gap today. We're going to get into a lot of great discussions talking about AI and this divide that technology tends to bring, and how our companies partner together are going to basically capture that gap, ensure that there's equality and equity among us all. So I am Maurice Dunn. I'm going to introduce myself, and then after that, I will pass it over to the rest of the panelists so that they can also introduce themselves. But I have a background, a military background. I'm a veteran. I am currently, obviously, the co-founder of Bunifu, but I also serve in the government civilian population, and where I run a Department of Defense training academy institution. So I do a lot of this education stuff in my day-to-day work. And we're using or trying to use AI and explore different options there so that we can be more effective and efficient in performing the training that we do. And so today, we're going to get a little bit deeper and get into some other topics that are more kind of concerning for me, primarily being an African-American male. I have a son that is in the education system. And I believe that AI and some of the things that we're doing in technology is a way to equal the playing field and also give him an opportunity to do some things that I, quite frankly, wasn't able to. And that's what basically started our business and why we decided to get into the business that we're in today. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this mic over to Jennifer, the other co-founder of Bunifu, the prettiest co-founder of Bunifu, and she's going to go ahead and introduce herself to the rest of the world. Jennifer?
All right. Thank you, Maurice. So I'm Jennifer Dunn. I am also co-founder of Bunifu. So Maurice already kind of gave a little bit of background of why we started Bunifu, to really support marginalized communities. We really wanted to focus on supporting both educators and students in learning, especially those who were from ethnic backgrounds such as Black, African American, Hispanic, Asian American, so minority populations, as well as low socioeconomic populations. So we create e-learning. We do a lot of curriculum development. You'll hear about how we actually support and create workforce development curriculum and how that is needed for today. We'll also talk a little bit about how we support both educators in helping and supporting students. So I'm just excited because we get to present this with a great partner with us today. And I'm actually going to pass it over to them so they can introduce themselves, and I'll pass it over to Jeremy.
And you want me to go first, Jen, or you want Claudette to talk first?
Go ahead, Claudette. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you all. My name is Claudette Keene, and I am the senior manager of Sandai Cares training programs. And I've been with the company for about 7 months, and I've really, really enjoyed working here. We've got such a great group. We engage with teens, we engage with students from all diverse backgrounds. I believe that's probably my favorite thing, but I come from a background of education. worked with the public school system for over 20 plus years, and continue to work as well with an after-school program on a recreational level as well to stay engaged with the students. So I'm honored to be here on this platform today. So I want to say thank you, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Mr. Jeremy Williams.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So yes, I am Jeremy Williams, CEO of Sandai Cares. Sandai Cares is actually the nonprofit division of our corporate entity, Sandai Global. And Sandai Global, it wants to make money, right? Sandai Global is really about helping organizations of all types, all industry focuses, just transform data, take it from what we call creation to communication, just makes it easier for organizations to understand their data. And with the advent of AI, in terms of it coming in, in terms of the mainstream use of it, we've also discovered an opportunity to leverage AI and helping us tell stories with data. Sandai Cares, on the other hand, is not necessarily in the business of making money. Sandai Cares wants to ensure that disadvantaged populations, marginalized communities have a shot at leveraging AI to transform their tomorrows. So we're here today in partnership with Bunifu to talk a lot about how we fit into that discussion on the nonprofit side. We'll talk about some of our programs that we've initiated this year that we think have the opportunity to really transform how disadvantaged populations consume AI, how they leverage it, and how they can take it and leverage it to improve their earnings and their future opportunities of tomorrow. Me personally, my background is very varied. I couple degrees, an engineering degree, and an MBA in finance. I've worked in a variety of positions, variety of organizations, nonprofit organizations, government agencies, CFO type responsibilities. I worked for big four accounting companies, where I was really exposed to how data is leveraged to help Fortune 500 companies make decisions and improve their products and services. I started Sandai up in 2018 to continue my vision of helping the little guys, right? The little guys of small businesses and small organizations do the same thing. So again, I think my quest in terms of how I see our vision, our future as a company, is just continuing to do that. And I hope that from this conversation today, we can help users and consumers of AI just do that better. Now, what we wanted to do before we started, we wanted to share a quick quiz. I think it's great for us before we start jumping into the meat of the conversation here to really understand who we have on, in our presence. So we have a few questions we wanted to ask everybody. So if you can, we have a tool called Slido that we're going to use today. We have it over to the right here in the chat window as well. We're asking that all participants go to Slido, and then we want you to enter that code. It's 9725630. And we're going to take a quick quiz. We have about 5 questions that we have queued up for you. Do we have anybody responding yet, Jen?
Give them a couple minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have some responses coming in.
Yes. Yeah. Good.
So we'll hold here for about say 30 seconds to a minute. All right, so we take 4 responses so far. Do we want to progress through the next question? Now, I'm getting like a lot of echo too, Jennifer. I mean, I'm not sure if it's someone on our end, if their mic is they're not muted.
Let's mute ourselves if you're not presenting. Let's go ahead and mute.
Yeah. All right, thank you. We have 5. I mean, we'll see if we get to maybe 10. If not, maybe we
Also,
can go to the.
Jeremy, there may be, there it looks like there's a box in front of the QR code and they can't scan it. So maybe
Okay.
that's why we're not
How do I
getting
get
that
that box off? Let me see here.
many.
Is that going now?
It's good. Yep, good to go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll just take your cue on when to progress, by the way.
So let's go ahead and move to the next question.
Okay.
Have you ever used AI tools or applications personally or professionally? All right, I see a couple of folks coming in. You know, before,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say it's some of these have really changed. I know previously a lot of people haven't, but now we're seeing people now using these tools on a regular basis.
Yeah, especially Chat GPT. I think that's typically the common response I get when I poll people on what tools they use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next question.
All right. I guess I'll read this, Jen. So what do you believe AI is primarily used for today? You have automation of tasks. You have data analysis, customer service, and like automation, or all of the above. Okay.
All right, all the above.
All right. So looks like what area of AI interests you the most? Machine learning, AI, ethics, Gen AI, or AI in healthcare?
You're gonna have to tell me the answer to this one.
Yeah.
Which area of AI interests you the most?
Yeah, you know my answer. So.
You know, I was thinking, you know, we're going to talk about high demand jobs and things like that, and so it may, you know, change depending on people's interests because of what fields they're in or
Yep.
How they're utilizing the tools.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Let's go to the last question. What is your biggest concern about the widespread use of AI? So you got job displacement, privacy and data security, ethical implications, AI bias.
Yeah, I think those two, job displacement and privacy and data.
Yep.
I've seen a big concern.
Okay. Well, I think that since it gives us an idea of who we have on the call, looks like most people are familiar with AI, interested in Gen AI, privacy, data, concerned about job displacements, and for the most part, looks like the police anyway feel pretty comfortable with the topic of AI. So I think we can go ahead and progress through the agenda.
Yeah, let's go ahead and share the slides. We have a couple of slides just to kind of do some stage setting. You know, AI is fairly new, but there's been a lot of talk around how to essentially, you know, provide protections or rails around AI. So I'm actually going to progress a couple of slides here to a blueprint that the Biden administration put out in 2022. Seems like years ago, and now it's 2024. But it was really about how do we create the use of this new technology. And it's not really new, but it's now starting to transform and advance. And how do we regulate it as it's moving and technologies and moving so quickly, both in the business sector as well as the education sector. And so you'll see in this Bill of Rights, you can actually download it. We did put the, if you have not seen it, we did put the web address there on the screen. Now there's other reports that have come out about how to safeguard these automated systems to make sure that there's no biases or there's no, there's no biases that are in the data privacy. There's also safeguards and asking companies and agencies to actually put safeguards around AI. And then also making sure that there are jobs that people aren't feeling like AI is taking up jobs, but how are we making sure that we're putting humans at the center of all of this technology? And I think that's really what we're going to really talk about today, especially around marginalized communities and how are we supporting those marginalized communities. And I think that's really a key issue of why we felt as Bunifu that we wanted to partner with Sandai Cares because of what they're doing and the tremendous impact they're starting to have nationwide around supporting students, incarcerated, returning citizens, and also our veterans and how they are supporting and doing work and doing something a little different around supporting and building skills. So I'm going to go to the next slide because I think it's really important how we're looking at the future of work, because this is really around how are we providing skills for individuals. And there's three squares there: healthcare, tech, AI, advanced industries. Healthcare is a big industry that's moving around, nursing practitioners, but there's also a need for that field to have technicians that understand technology within that as well. And how are we building our workforce to do that, especially those diverse groups and communities? And then in the center is what we're really talking about today is tech and artificial intelligence. And that's your computer science, your cybersecurity that you've heard a lot about, as well as your artificial intelligence. And how are we building those gaps to help out, these traditional tech roles to be filled? And what are we doing to do that? And then advanced industries is a lot. It's, your construction industry that, you're having also your manufacturing industry, and how are we helping with logistics as far as that and making sure that we have skilled workers. But we thought it was really important to set up a, some stage setting, introduce like, why are these programs really important for both our students as well as our adults? So I'm actually going to pass it over to Maurice because we talked a little bit about the partnership, but I think we want to go a little bit in depth about why we decided to come together and then how did we connect with Sandai.
All right, thank you, Jennifer, and obviously thank you, Jeremy, for the poll questions. Give us an idea of who we're talking to and talking with. The importance of the partnership. I think Jeremy hit it right on the head, looking out for the little guy. Jeremy and I, we met in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program back in, I want to say that was the end of 21, beginning of 2021. Yeah, that time frame. And so again, ironic, there's a company looking at small businesses and how to make small businesses become more effective. And so we met in that environment, and it was a great environment to be a part of. And so from there, we kind of went our separate ways. Jeremy dealing with the data piece and specifically dealing with healthcare and things of that nature. Just this serving attitude, serving the community, serving the world in a sense. And for us in Bunifu, we're the same thing. We're our whole concept, our whole vision is we want people to learn and relearn quickly, and we want to produce training solutions, e-learning solutions that make that happen. Because when you look at the world today, things happen so quickly. And so you're going to have to learn something and then relearn it and then go do something else. And when I look at my son, he's got to do the same thing. And so we're trying to find ways to, again, serve a greater community beyond ourselves. And you can probably term that as giving back. You can also use the term of it takes a village, to raise a man or a woman or a community. And so having those like values is where kind of this partnership had spun from. And then, like I said, we went our separate ways and we're doing our thing and we're both being very successful. But we all know to equalize the playing field and to decrease the gap, there requires some type of unity. There requires partnerships. You cannot go at this thing by yourself. And so just happenstance, we were starting to do some things in the AI or artificial intelligence arena, and Jeremy was doing the same thing. And then we found a connecting point. And that connecting point is around that. But then we also found there's other similarities and there's other things that we'd like to do. And so partnership is important for us to continue to grow and raise the community and in a sense, the world that we want here for ourselves, and to be an active participant in that, not just kind of sit on the sidelines and say, hey, there's an issue over there. No, we're actually out there doing something. So that's where the partnership sprung from. This is going to be a lifelong partnership. It doesn't stop. And so I think the other key term to any partnership is commitment, and having committed individuals to a vision, to a dream, just, I think, strengthens the partnership even more. But that is kind of the roots. And then at that point, it's like whatever topic we decide to go after, we've already established a foundation. So I appreciate Jeremy. I appreciate Sandai for the things that they're doing. And I think that you guys are going to be very excited about some of the things that we're doing and how we're using this partnership to make some change. So I'm going to go ahead and I think, are we doing questions next?
It's Q&A time now.
Yeah. All right. So you guys are probably wondering what partnership you guys are talking about and what are you doing? And so how about we start with that? We'll start with Jennifer. I know I'm maybe going off a little script here, but let's talk about the partnership we do have currently and what are some of the things that we're doing.
So, we as Bunifu have been doing a lot of work around curriculum development, and also digital learning and e-learning and customized learning for many of our customers and our clients. So that's really our expertise. But we really take a cultural competence view of how we support communities that are marginalized or underserved communities. By creating and making sure that we're creating very engaging content, that there's not biases, that we're using empowering language and inclusive language as we're creating curriculum. We're also aligning to standards to make sure that both the educators and students and anyone who's a learner is getting, I hear some sound, also some background sound. We might want to just mute as we go through the questions. That was our expertise, and we felt like it was very important for us to come together because Sandai Cares actually had the students in there, and they were supporting already those marginalized communities directly. And so we felt it was really important to come together. And it's really about two things. It's about increasing access by any means necessary and making sure that everything that we're producing is equitable, that everybody has the supports to be successful to get through these programs. So I'm actually going to ask Jeremy a question because it kind of talks a little bit about learning about the populations that you're working with. What are some of the challenges that you have faced thus far? You've been working the program for a couple of months now, but what are some of the things that you have, some of the challenges with particular populations?
Yeah, so let me first start off. I want the audience to clearly understand what we're talking about. So let me paint this picture. So we created a program We have a couple of different programs that we're going to discuss here today, but the primary two programs are a program called Data Gen Scholars. This is a high school program. So we call it a learn and earn program where students are basically paid to learn. 6 to 12 month options for kids. But this program is really around helping expose them to data analytics and artificial intelligence. If you know anything about AI needs data. AI cannot do what it do without data. And I saw one of the polling questions we talked about machine learning. Machine learning has to have data in order for it to learn. So we believe that AI starts with BI, right? So we teach that to our kids, and we say to these students who we are instructing, and I'll talk about that in a second, that they have, in order for them to learn about AI, they have to learn about data. So Data Gen Scholars, what it basically is about is we have 4 different components to the program. The first program is we have a module where we expose kids to a bunch of different lessons that relate to data analytics. We have another module that relates to generative AI. So again, we're not so much talking about traditional or conventional AI. This is really around AI that we at Sandai that we use to make money, that we use to serve our customers. So a component of this Data Gen Scholars program is to help kids understand that they too can take these tools and start making money for themselves. Module 3 relates to career readiness. It's about getting the student in the mindset of thinking about their tomorrows and what does that look like? That looks like resumes, it looks like LinkedIn profiles. So we're big proponents of students in our program having fully developed, robust LinkedIn profiles. The fourth component is what we call a micro job. So every kid that comes through our program, they're getting paid to learn along the whole journey. But we're obligated at Sandai Cares to give that kid an experience to put their learnings to use and make money with it. Kids get certificates from our program. We have, Maurice talked about this village concept. I look at it as an ecosystem. I look at it as a community. We don't think that we have all of the parts to solve the equation, which is why we want to link up with guys like you. We have other corporate partners that we have partnerships with. One of our biggest partners is a company called DataCamp. DataCamp has a robust library of courses that anyone can take. You can pay for them or you can get it for free if you're a nonprofit. But all of our kids get to get these certificates through DataCamp. So one of the challenges is this, though, for us is we currently offer our program, and as you guys are aware, in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, got quite a few kids in the program. We have a partnership with a group out of Ohio. Our ambition is to have the program at least 20 students from every state in our program by the conclusion of next year. So our challenge is how do you develop those partnerships? So it's not so much getting the kids to commit. Some kids who we target don't commit as easily, but that's where we have to do the work. So we're not looking to have an easy street to success in terms of recruitment. Our issue is partnerships.
Thank you, Jeremy. So, I want to bring Claudette into the conversation, especially as the senior manager of training and programs. We really want to know what is the impact of your program? And then also, what are you doing to create culturally relevant, supports for students and for other populations?
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for that question. We are constantly seeking new ideas. We're always reaching out to our current students and also future current participants as well. But the question would be that we like to survey our children, our kids that come into the program. They may not know a lot about what we do and what is expected and things like that initially. But we like to engage them by surveying them, getting to know them by doing outings with them, getting to personalize the program a bit so that we can understand how they see their future. And we engage through personal relationships, developing them as a person, as well as also seeing the bigger picture of how AI and analytics can can tailor their future and their career paths. So we do a lot of surveying, we do a lot of personal one-on-one events and things like that. So we really enjoy getting to know the person that we're working with. So I definitely think it's so important. The impact is important for us to be a part of the community. I know that a lot of our work is done virtually, but we also make a presence to be, in that person's life. So for the future, so we don't want them to feel like they're alone in this, and so we do a lot of outreach and also community experiences, I would say.
So with some of the community experiences, I always think about math. I was never really a good math student, right? And when you said math, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to take that road. I'm a good writer, but do I really want to do math? And I think about, how do you motivate? I mean, when you talk about AI, yes, okay, maybe that's exciting. It's like robotics, things you see on a movie. But how do you get students to talk about data and data analytics and really engage them into the conversation?
I definitely think what we do is we try to find relative information that makes it exciting for them. So whether it's getting someone that maybe they admire, look up to, we do webinars. We do things like engaging them to be a present with us during those webinars and see what they can experience. And they may not be great at everything, but it's really all about exposure. And so exposure and consistency. So we say that, we're not going to be experts at everything, but we're going to try to do what we can to, pretty much highlight your skills and your strengths, but also educate you on things that you may not be great at. So
yeah, let me chime in here too a little bit, Jen. So that's one of the challenges, right? So you are educators, right? So you know how it is when you talk to some students to get them to think about what you're saying as an adult parents. I got 2 sons.
yeah.
They don't always listen to you, right? They know everything, right? So sometimes you have to try to meet that kid halfway. So for us, it isn't just about math, right? This is about data. They have data footprints. Claudette talked about the data that we collect up front. We get asked questions. Why are you interested in data? Blah, 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 right? What do you want to be when you grow up? Those are data points that help us tell a story about that student, right? Some of our students don't have shoes to wear to school. Some of them don't have computers. We have a kid we had to buy a telephone for, right? So that's data. And that data tells me that these kids need opportunities. You look at Washington, D.C. D.C. mayor throws a lot of money at the education systems, right? This has been going on for decades and still have truancy issues, right? Still got kids committing crimes. So they have these different programs. You see it in Baltimore, these summer youth programs where they give these kids jobs, right? It's great to give them jobs in the summer, but what about during the year? So what we do is a little different. Data Gen Scholars is just not about learning stuff. We want these kids to get paid. They get paid to learn. So we're not just saying come in and absorb some boring content. What we're saying is we want you to come in and develop your LinkedIn profile, and we're going to help you do that. And we'll pay you for it, right? We want you to get some connections in your LinkedIn profile, right? That's helping them. That's not helping us per se, but we'll pay you for that, right? We want you to then take a certificate program that we're going to help guide you through. We'll pay you for that. And in return, once you get so many points in our program, we're going to give you a job. That's how that works. So the kids understand what that means. The kid says to me, if I can get so much done every week or every month, that might be $100 in my pocket. Now I can maybe get a cheeseburger, take my girlfriend out to, so that they're committed to that. So it's really around us. When we talk about jobs of tomorrow, you have to help kids think about tomorrow. Like, what do I have to commit today to get ready for that tomorrow? I'm real good about talking about tomorrow. You guys know this. Students don't always look until tomorrow. They're looking at what can you do for me today, bro? And then we try to sell them on that. Like, we're going to be committed to you. Like Claudette said, we do every 2 months, we do some kind of activity with our students. We took some kids up to Six Flags just 2 weeks ago. Right? We got an opportunity event planned in October for our students, right? So it's really that kind of stuff, like building the credibility, letting them know we're not just here to get some data to satisfy some need that we have for our mission, a feel good need for a week or 2 weeks. We're here for 6 months, a year, and then we have a community, a long range component to the program beyond that year. So that's what we think makes our program different. And that's what we hope to be able to partner with organizations across America to help us achieve our goal of 1,000 students enrolled in Data Gen Scholars by the end of 2025.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. First of all, it's just great that you're providing real world experiences for students and then also paying them. I mean, that's wonderful, because once they finish the program, they have a marketable skill, an employable skill that is so needed, where it's data, it's also AI, and understanding this whole world, just if it's an introduction, but really having them experience those real world things right now while they're in high school. Like, sometimes you're sitting in math class or you're sitting in English class, you're like, how does this really apply to what am I doing every day when I walk out of the school building? And students, unfortunately, they want to know, why is this important? Because I want to make money, or this is the type of lifestyle that I want to have. And so, they're going to ask those hard questions. I really think that your program really provides a lot of that connection.
And Jen, it's not for everybody now. Let me say this to you now. My program isn't for everybody. Cause I will boot you out the program if you don't do what you have to do. Because for me, I said AI begins with BI, begins with data. So in order for me to be able to build my ecosystem up, because let's just face it, big companies and donors and foundations, they don't want to participate with organizations that don't have outcomes, that don't have data, don't have satisfactory outcomes. So a lot of what we have to do is make certain that our students understand that too, that by them doing what they need to do, that helps us grow, that helps us get that ecosystem, that helps us go to funders and get those dollars that we need to help grow our program. So again, it's not for every student. Okay. Some students don't fit in well. I got it. But back to what I said earlier about our challenges, it's really around those partnerships, right? Just getting partners that can kind of come in and help us expand our service platform. We're the data guys. Maybe somebody can do life services. You guys are great with curriculum development. We're gonna, as you guys are aware, we're using your services to develop e-learning experience for our students. So we have to have partners to expand our ability to help us to expand our repertoire of offerings, and ensure that we can do more for the students that we serve.
Right.
Yep.
And us providing the gamification so students can really engage, the scenario based, so they can actually have some real life experiences as they're applying the program.
Without a doubt.
One of the things I think you touched on it a little bit, either Claudette or you can answer this question. What is the impact today? What have you done thus far?
Oh, wow. Whew, man. So I'll talk about the students. So I'm just amazed at these students. So we have 55 students in our program currently. Okay. All 55 students. First of all, we have about 30, well, there's about 20 students from Alexandria, Virginia's high school. They've been with us since January. All right. We have the rest of the program participants have come through us from Baltimore and DC. I think this is very important for context. They started mid-July. So they're about 6 weeks in. All right. So all of these students have completed LinkedIn profiles. We're all in LinkedIn. I think we all connected here in LinkedIn through this opportunity to learn together. But all of 55 of our kids have LinkedIn profiles that are complete and robust. We have 15 of those students have already completed. This is some DC students included now, have already completed a data literacy certificate through our partner with Data Camp. About 10 of them have already also completed their AI fundamentals certificate through Data Camp. All 55 have to have these certificates done by the end of September, and we have something that we have in store for them once they complete that. So just on the academic side, if you want to call it that, right? We have a nice percentage of our participants have already progressed through the first quarter requirements in terms of what they have to get completed for our program. And again, if we have a future update, we'll tell you that all 55 have LinkedIn's, all 55 have 2 certificates. In 12 weeks, by the way.
You know, I know some adults don't have their updated LinkedIn. So
I know.
they're already.
Hey, here's the thing. So we had parents hating on their kids. Like, the kids are learning this stuff, right? The parents are saying, hey, can I get a license? Can I learn some of this stuff? The parents are asking for licenses. So that's the impact that the students are already having on their families. And you guys have heard me say this time and time again. My vision, even for I have 2 sons. I think I know a little bit, okay? But my vision for my companies is for youth to run the companies. I don't want to be running my company in 5 years, right? My vision for Data Gen Scholars is for the students to sell the program. And I talk about these micro jobs. A part of that is how they make their money. They're going to push the program.
Awesome. So the next question I have is really, it was a combined question for Claudette and myself because of the work that we do. What I do here at Bunifu is really, supporting the curriculum development as we're providing customized e-learning solutions for, organizations. And I thought it was important to really hone on how can schools and post-secondary institutions integrate AI education into their existing curriculum. So if they wanted to do something, similar to this, what would they do and what steps could they take?
I definitely think that's an awesome question. I know that Jeremy and I have reached out to several educators and also schools and principals, expressing the need and the importance of bridging that gap as well. And the steps that they would need to take in order to, allow a partnership to happen between ourselves and the school. Pretty much the educators or principals would really just reach out to the company, set up a time to speak regarding what they see as a need for that particular school. Every school is different, right? So we may be engaging with a high school differently in DC than we are in Virginia. So that pathway would be specifically designed by the principal and us as the Sandai team. We would kind of develop what it would look like for that specific school. But it's really just depends on the educator and what their needs are. So we just want to really foster the communication and to talk about what we could do as far as education and things like that. We like to be in person, and sometimes we'll go out to a school lunch and say, hey, we'll try to get some students that are interested in the program. They even may already have students that they already know are interested in something like this. And so it just depends specifically to that school or, entity. So that's what I would say. Jeremy, would you agree?
I got to chime in, Claudette. You know me. Oh man. So, right. Data Gen Scholars is only for a few kids, and I think for us, we are actually upset about that. We think every student in America, high school kid, should be exposed to this kind of programming. So what we've done is we've created, now of course it's not through Sandai Cares, I apologize, through Sandai Global, an opportunity where we offer boot camps to schools. So we have boot camps for teachers, and we have boot camps for high school kids that aren't in our program. It's basically a derivative of the Data Gen program, 3-hour boot camps at really expose teachers to things that we think they should know about Gen AI. Earlier during the poll question, I was a little remiss to see that the participants here today didn't necessarily vote ethics and responsible use high on that list of things that they were concerned about, but that should be up there, right? So, we look at the governmental landscape, you look at corporate entities. One of the biggest concerns is that people are using this stuff incorrectly, right? They're going out there consuming AI, producing contracts, letters, whatever it might be, and they're trying to own that content. So ethics and responsible use is something that we are teaching to our school clients. And at boot camps that we offer, again, it's like driving a car and getting the driver's manual. So we teach you how to drive the tools in one boot camp. We got like 10 tools we talk about on the Gen AI side. And the other boot camp is now that driver's manual. It tells you how to use things ethically and responsibly so that you're not using the tools incorrectly. And we think every high school and every high school teacher base, at least, and every high school student population should be exposed to that kind of content. That's what we're doing. You guys can talk about what you're doing on your end.
So we have a couple of questions that came into the comments. So I want to go ahead and address those before moving on. So one of the questions, has the program been evaluated yet, or has there been any informal progress for monitoring to establish lessons learned, things like that?
Yeah, so that's going to be a year one. So again, we're in the midst of our initial program year. So as anything, and when you do program audits and financial audits, that tends to happen after the conclusion of that year. So whoever asked this question, I would highly recommend that you just reach out to us, and that data is something that you deem essential and helping you make a decision around what we're talking about here today. Definitely reach back out to us around January or February of next year, and we'll give you that feedback.
Now you talked about, go ahead.
Yeah, another question? Was it another question?
Yep, there's some other questions.
Yeah, let's go.
So you talked about partnerships, and this is such a great question. I know you're going to love this question.
Okay.
So does Sandai Cares pursue or receive, funding, philanthropic funding, or is it completely
Beautiful question. Beautiful question. So, right. So whenever you start up business enterprises, it's probably especially small business, right? Enterprises, right? It's probably I'm gonna say 1,000% chance, okay, that is self-funded initially. So I would say we've been around since 2018 with Sandai Global. Sandai Cares is about 2022 when we established it. All of the Data Gen Scholars program efforts to date have been funded by Sandai Global, right? Because we didn't feel the need to pursue philanthropic dollars or even donor dollars, right? Until we had what we thought was a top tier, top notch program, that we had the right partners at the table to expand our capabilities. We're there now. So now we're setting up that agenda. We have about 4 conversations set up with philanthropic organizations here in September, and another few set up in October. So we'll have that conversation soon, and we hope that it turns out to be something that's beneficial for our organization and our students. Great question, though.
One of the comments was they would have put ethical, but they couldn't select more than one on the poll.
Yeah,
so.
Ethics is up there, man. Ethics is up there. That's huge. Because people cheating, like, listen, people cheating, man. They trying to own stuff that it's not there, so that happens. And so again, governments, you guys talked about the blueprint. I would suggest that anyone here on the call, if you haven't gone to President Biden's website, ai.gov, recommend you go there and look at the information that's there. It's a lot of stuff there. You got the blueprint, you got President Biden's executive order, you got this NIST framework. There's a bunch of stuff there, and I would recommend that you get familiar with this stuff because it talks about how the government, the federal government, sees AI and the opportunities that it presents. And there's a lot of stuff that talks about supporting workers. Guys on the call talked about number 2 concern being job displacement, right? That's the government's concern, right? Just how many people are going to lose their jobs to this AI stuff. And anyone who hears me talk about this, we talk a lot about why we think everybody should know this stuff. Because if you don't know about AI, it's going to take your job. It wants your job. So we think that everybody should know a little bit about it. And if you can start leveraging these tools, you want to find partners like Bunafu, like Sandai, to help educate you and enlighten you, to point you in the right direction, so that you can start using these tools for your benefit, not your detriment.
I did want to go back to the question about how you partner, partnerships between schools and post-secondary institutions. So I think it's not always about the institution. And I think you've said that a lot. Like, this is about how do you really just create a culture of learning for around these types of tools. And it doesn't matter if that learning is in a school setting, or if it's in an enrichment program, an extracurricular program, as long as whether it's, an adult or a student. But if you're interested and you're curious about it, then, you should really look up the information that we have, because you can take these programs without being part of an institution. And I think, and Jeremy also said, and Claudette said something in particular, this isn't for everybody, right? We would want it to be for everybody, but we want folks that are really interested and will be able to persist through the program to completion, because there's monies tied to it. There's certifications or certificates that are applied, that you can get from taking these courses. So, we want to make sure that it's a good fit as you think through. But however, we do want to increase the enrollment of the program as well. Go ahead, Jeremy. Did you have?
No. I want to listen to you talk there. I mean, you talked about that clueless piece. I mean, I sometimes say to my students, if you're clueless, you got to be curious. And I think the value that we offer is that we let them be curious within a community. And I think that's the value prop that I think that I would like to see, our kind of communities adopt, where we're trying to find opportunities to, experience growth together and not in isolation.
And it's already, I think, and also a key thing is that we are supporting students, marginalized communities. That's female, marginalized communities that aren't in tech and AI. So how are we increasing that pipeline? So, if you are, as an institution, having challenges just getting kids curious about these topics, you may want to look at what we're doing to support, because we are focusing on helping out those students and adults that are in those under-resourced communities.
Yes.
The last question I have is, as we close, if there's any other Q&A questions, please go ahead and submit them in the comments, because we have about 7 minutes left. But I wanted to end with Maurice and Jeremy, and you all can fight for who you want to go first.
I'll let Mo go first. Mo is smarter than me, so I'll let Mo go first, and I'll back him.
I don't know about that.
So how do you envision the future of AI education, and what steps are needed to ensure equitable access for all?
In terms of, I think I'll hit the second part first. In terms of the ethical steps, I think, and we had talked a little bit about this before, but just this partnership together with these two companies, or companies that have the interest in the ethics or anything that we're trying to get out to the community. I think us giving back and providing exposure. I think someone has said, I think Claudette has said that earlier. Giving that exposure to these life lessons is what I really call them. Life lessons on how it can benefit you today, but also how it can benefit you in the future. So I think it's the folks like ourselves giving back, and then teaching our communities and our kids also to do the same thing, and just making that really part of the culture. That is how you kind of get after, I think, some of the main topics that are important to our individual communities. In terms of how I envision the future of AI education, I mean, again, just from what I see, it speeds everything up. I think in speeding everything up, I think you now you can focus more on some of the strategic things that we need to do in our companies, in our jobs, in our personal lives, and not getting kind of bogged down by the minutia of kind of those daily tasks that, back in the day, we had to write everything out, right? And now I can speak it into a device and it can give me what I need. And now I just got to go back and I can critique that thing that I spoke into versus having to figure all of those things out. Obviously, the fear there is making sure that we still have the depthness in some of the things that we've learned throughout history. Sometimes technology does remove some of that deepness that you have. And so, again, I think us understanding that and have lived through a couple of technology changes already, and understanding how the future looks like and bringing that information back to our youth is the most important thing that we possibly could do. And then let it kind of evolve and grow from there, but give our kids the foundation on how to not just use the tools, like I think Jeremy said, but to critically think about how this is actually going to get me to where I need to go. I think that is very important. And that in itself is an education, right? Like that is something has to be taught, that mindset and that critical thought process. But I'll pass it to Jeremy and hear his thoughts.
Yeah, I'll just speak quick, man. Go ahead and mute yourself, Mo. I just think you think about education and the future of education. I think you guys are educators, so we have to do things a little differently. Can't happen overnight. But AI infusion in education is coming, right? We might have AI teachers. I've seen online where I've seen schools in Africa, I believe, where you have AI teachers, right? So I don't know what that's going to look like here in America, but I do know when I think about like the car industry and how cars have transformed since the 60s to now. I kind of see education the same way. You got cars that self-drive themselves now, and we couldn't imagine that back in the 60s. Educational system hadn't necessarily gone through that kind of a change yet, right? So for me, I liken it to automobile revolution in education. And education, when we look at it, maybe 10, 15 years out, you're going to see a lot more components of AI. I can't necessarily speak to what that's going to be, but I think what we have to do as individuals and protect, the people who resemble us and have similar beliefs as us, we got to start preparing them and getting them ready for this transformative tomorrow. All right, so I'm not sure if you have any more questions or what else we want to do at this point. We only have a minute or two left.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and bring up the last slide because
Okay.
everybody probably wants to contact, right? And follow up. So I want to make sure that everybody has the information. So here on the screen, we do have both Maurice and my information, as well as Jeremy and Claudette's information. So if you want to reach out, you want to learn more about the programs, you want to see how you can see if it's something that fits for your school or your community, make sure you can reach out to us. Also, we do have a survey for this particular live event. We are going to put that in the comments so you can complete. We want to know, what you think, and kind of get a poll of what you think about, the programs as we're starting to launch. If you have any ideas or suggestions, please go ahead and put it in the survey. So you could see that survey right in the comments there. It's just been posted right now under Bunifu LLC. So I want to thank, first of all, our partnership. It has been wonderful thus far. I want to continue to see how we can grow together. And I know it's like you don't want to hit every student, but you know me, I'm all about access. I want to hit everybody.
Yeah. Hey, here's the overlap to what you just said, right? We want to go to the moon, right? Yeah. So sometimes you got symbolisms and success, and I think our partnership and the work we're going to do on that NASA opportunity is symbolic of how we can think about our success here with these students in America. Like we want to take them to the moon, right? So, so again, that's how I see us growing, and I see our explosion really happening here in terms of what we can offer to America here in the next 2 to 3 months. It's a pleasure. Right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right. I'll hold. I guess should we stay on, by the way, Jen?
No, we're going to go out. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you, everybody.
Complete the survey.
Yep. Thank you.
Take care.